So in the 90s, so there were a couple of key milestones, right? So going back to 74, you've pulled back the dollar. 80s is high interest rate. There was still a flash event in 87, October, where the markets did crash, recovered a little bit, went into long-term capital management, spiraling out of control.
1990s.
93.
That was when we had the last big
LTCM?
crisis. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
LTCM
like
was
97, 96
exactly.
Because, I mean, it's always linked to Pakistan with a...
Yes.
Pakistan always faces a crisis linked to the liquidity crunch because we borrow to meet our budget deficit, right?
Right.
And so rates go up
and so that's what I'm going to come back and link to. So you had the LTCM crisis, then you had 2001 take place, completely you can say it was unrelated, maybe it was not unrelated, who knows. Then you suddenly had a build-up, low interest rate environment, housing expansion, the mortgage-backed securities, and then you had an 08 crisis that actually did a reset, right? Because the reset was moving the sort of liability away from the individual to the sovereign.
Yes.
Now from 08 onwards, we had a huge bull run.
Which was basically just money being printed. You can actually correlate it. Literally 97% correlation between money supply M2 at the Fed and the S&P 500 and housing and all assets.
So you're literally printing money and spending money that you don't intrinsically have or anything that has intrinsic value because it's it's no longer gold backed, and B, it's all literally debt. Now
you're borrowing from the future, basically, right?
You're borrowing from the future.
The millennials and Gen Zers are like looking at pictures of houses.
Yeah.
Because it just, you can't keep up with the debasement.
And so now you've been printing all this money. There's a lot of liquidity in the market. Everything, there's inflation, there's pricing has gone up and interest rates were low. Then you come into 2020 and you see COVID pull back a little bit, but then you print even more money.
So let's unpack that a bit. In 2008, it took them, I think, something like 6 to 9 months to get 700 billion through Congress. Just to get approval. So this is how desensitized everybody's become.
Yeah.
In 2020, it took them 1 hour to announce that they're going to print 7 trillion.
Yeah.
And literally, I think the world shut down on, was it 21st or 20th UTC time on a Sunday? I remember it was 6 p.m. in Pakistan. And the next morning, just the Fed alone printed something like 7 trillion, 6 to 7 trillion. Then ECB did the same. Then all pretty much central banks around the world. So that was probably the largest amount of debt because, again, printing is debt. Debt issuance, I think probably in humanity's at least recorded history.
And that's 7 trillion that was printed in 2020 versus 700 billion in 2008. And so, I mean, people forget that, right? People say the 2008 crisis was the big crisis and you printed so much money, but it was 1/10 of what was printed in COVID. And so now
desensitization.
It's desensitization. So now
people don't realize how much even a trillion is. If you stack those dollar bills physically, these are all digits.
Yeah.
It's like basically it's like Manhattan like times 10x. There's a visual capitalist website. You should go on there and see what a trillion looks like printed.
Wow. So now you've got all this money floating around. All of it, right? Everyone is liquid. And I see that liquidity was tied to a lot of these alternative investments as well. Your crypto, VC, blockchain, startups, right? So the whole VC.
And housing, pretty much everything, equities.
Pretty much everything.
That's what spawned NVIDIA, Apple, like trillionaires. That's actually hyperinflation technically getting concentrated up there. It's all, I always run back and laugh. I'd hear from my parents' generation that in the 80s, $100,000 was a lot of money. And then a millionaire was a big deal, right? By the 2008 portion, a millionaire was pretty common in at least Manhattan.
Yeah.
But it was based on purchasing power loss more than anything else. If you remember Austin Powers, Dr. Evil gets pulled out from cryogenic. He's holding the word hostage for, I think, for $1 million. Somebody explains to him, he's like, dude, $1 million is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's a similar type of thing where trillions have been channeled. And I think what's happening is to avert inflation actually showing up in food. When it does show up in food, they start raising rates.
Right.
It's being channeled into equities and into housing and the bigger assets, right?
Right.
But then that creates that social gap, that disparity
of
the haves and the have-nots.